Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.
Excuse me! Taxi!
Come on, what are you doing? This is the 77 WABC minicast.
It's interesting when you meet somebody you've seen on TV a million times. It really is kind of special. It gives you an interesting feeling. We're here with Dr. Peter McCullough. Dr. McCullough, welcome from the Wellness Center, and it's an honor to meet you. How's life?
Great to be here, the epicenter of conservative talk radio.
Conservative talk radio, we deliver. We sure do. We love what we do here. Do me a favor, Dr. McCullough, what made your team look at ivermectin in cancer patients? And ivermectin, as you know, has been in the news quite a bit. Somewhat controversial, I think less so now. But what did you find?
We had used ivermectin through the pandemic. In fact, it turned out to be one of the most rapidly acting drugs that could help people through the pandemic times, the SARS-CoV-2 infection. And what was happening is that there was a great need to combine ivermectin with another anti-infective, mebendazole, to help people treat neglected parasite infections. So Wellness Company, with our own pharmacies, compounded a capsule of ivermectin plus mebendazole. Years had gone by of research in cancer showing these drugs also have anti-neoplastic properties.
So let's just step back to set up some things here. Cancer treatment has become more sophisticated, also more expensive. Newer therapies often costing patients a lot of money. But what if some of the medications that could help are already on pharmacy shelves? We're talking about generic, off-patent, well understood for decades, safe for human use. Now, that's where a team of physicians from the Wellness Company really came in, and you guys looked at this hard. And I was surprised to learn, basically, we use generic drugs for all kinds of things, except when it comes to cancer. And that's a major exception. And why is that?
Well, I'm the chief scientific officer at the Wellness Company, and I'm an internist and cardiologist. So I have cancer patients, but notably, as a cardiologist, 90% of the drugs I prescribe are generic. But in cancer, it's not the case because the cancer centers are incentivized to prescribe and utilize very expensive chemotherapy because of what's called book and bill, that the cancer centers receive a portion of the revenue that comes in from the high-dollar chemotherapy.
So that sounds, book and bill, it sounds, I don't know, a little bit, what's the word, corrupt?
It doesn't sound right. And what we found is that data had been accruing with two anti-infectives, ivermectin and mebendazole, showing that they separately, in studies, reduce the proliferation of cancer cells, drop the blood flow to the tumors, and actually help the tumor cells turn off so the body could clear them out. There had been even clinical studies with one of the products, mebendazole. We combined them. They were available on the market from the Wellness Company for treatment of parasitic infections, but off-label, patients were choosing to use this in conjunction with surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation for cancer. So they got approval from their cancer doctors and began to use it. We kept track in the first human report of what the outcomes were.
All right. So for a patient or for a physician, and I'm understanding what you're saying, but I don't have cancer, thank God. I don't want to get it. But somebody who does, what is a real immediate takeaway for a cancer patient and their doctor?
Well, clearly patients should follow their doctor's advice. And there is progress being made in cancer, certainly. But when it comes to additional adjunctive drugs that patients can choose and request, a pair of generic drugs off-label, ivermectin and mebendazole, in our study results, which is the first of its kind human observational report, it's not a controlled trial, And, we can't make treatment recommendations for patients, but 84% of patients reported positive news.
So this is a repurposed medication, right? Is that the category?
Yeah, we can use drugs off their original advertising label when we're fulfilling an unmet need.
It seems like that requires or would benefit from research. And my understanding is from the federal government, they're kind of like, well, look, or big pharma or whatever, we've already done that. We know what it does. They don't want to invest in finding out new things about old drugs.
Not necessarily. It's just that they're not featured because they don't have the big drug company budgets. But this one is perfect for a large prospective randomized trial funded by the National Cancer Institute, which has plenty of money to do that. Ivermectin is in a small breast cancer trial right now at Cedars-Sinai and UCLA. Mebendazole is in cancer trials at Johns Hopkins. But in cancer, the principle is use drugs in combination. We almost never use drugs alone in cancer. And this one is perfect for a large prospective randomized trial.
All right. So we got to get the attention of the research community? I mean, how do we do that? And what are they going to do when they get a hold of this, if they are inclined to do something about it?
Our report from the Wellness Company is the first of its kind. So it was released on the European Commission preprint scientific server. It's going through the peer review process for publication. It shortly will be out in a peer review journal. And when that happens, I think we will get the attention of the community, and we certainly will be out there making scientific presentations.
All right. And wellness, just because this is all very intriguing, and it's not a world that I am privy to day in and day out, but I want to keep on top of this. Where can anybody who's intrigued and anybody who's suffering right now, where can we go to find this when this thing breaks, when it gets published?
We already have a press release and link to the manuscript at the website, twc.health. That's the Wellness Company. We will be bringing this forward with a secondary release in the full peer-reviewed manuscript. But this is, 197 patients who we followed, who began this off-label use of this combination. 122 hit a 6-month mark where they could report back to us on how they're doing with their cancer. And it's very, very good news in terms of cancer not advancing, in some cases actually improving.
So you said the Wellness Company, twc.health, twc.health. You can also go to twc.health/cancer, and the code word Greg actually works there. I'm not sure what you're going to get, but you're going to get all kinds of cool things if you get the medical emergency kit. Doctor, you happen to be very trim. You happen to be, you look great. And what I love to find out from physicians is just a little tip. If we're not going to actually have an appointment with you, what's something we can do concrete to feel better?
Yeah, I think everybody ought to look at the holy trinity of health. That is, review your diet and make sure the diet is optimized. In my view, there's 3 villains in diet: sugars, starches, and saturated fat. It's easy because they start with S. Exercise. Everybody needs some regular exercise. I was out there today jogging in Central Park. And the third part of the trinity, sleep. Everybody should take a look at their sleep habits and be able to assure themselves that they're getting a great night's sleep, they feel well rested, and they have lots of energy like you do to come in every day and do the work you do.
How far did you run today?
Just a few miles, but it was good enough.
Just a few miles. That's the problem.
Greg, it's to feel great, and it has to be the most picture-perfect day in New York City I can ever remember.
No, it's really nice out there. I was walking in the park today, and, you got that look. You got that trim look going on, and it's very, very impressive. Well, Dr. McCullough, thank you for walking us through all this stuff. The Wellness Company.health, twc.health, twc.health. And one other thing, why did you become a doctor?
When I came out of the womb and I was born, I wanted to become a doctor. I love science. I love the biotechnology, and I love helping patients.
What's the hardest part? What's the hardest? There's got to be, every job has its, the stuff you don't like, and every job has the amazing things that you do like. What's the toughest part about being a doctor?
I think the hardest part I've learned in the last few years, it's going against the orthodoxy. That is coming up with new ideas, and you think you're right, you ultimately prove that you're right, but it's not quickly accepted. Do you know from the time an innovation is discovered to the time it's fully implemented in medicine, according to the Institute of Medicine, it's 20 years. Medicine is a slow-moving train.
Has it always been that way?
Yes.
Does it have its upsides because, we're dealing with life and death, you know what I mean? Or should it be faster? Upsides, 20 years, but what's the ideal amount of time?
It should be faster. I think innovations ought to come within 5 years from concept to full implementation. It's too slow.
Right. And we have, supercomputers and AI and all these things could facilitate. Well, Dr. Peter McCullough, we appreciate it. We appreciate all the people at the wellness company, twc.health. And what's that holy trinity again? I love it. Diet, sleep, exercise, and the starches. No, the S's. No, watch the sugar, watch the starch, and watch saturated fat. Forgive me real quick, though. What do you consider a starch?
Anything made out of flour, rice, and potatoes.
And what is a saturated fat?
Typically comes from animal fat, bacon grease, cheesecakes, burgers, and fries.
Burgers and fries. What about steak?
Yeah, it doesn't have, if you eat a good steak, it doesn't have that much saturated fat. You can have one now and again.
All right. Cool. Dr. Peter McCullough, thank you. And thanks to everybody at the Wellness Company. We will be right back.
Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit asbgold.com. That's asbgold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.